Hello and happy hump day. If you're watching live, hello and welcome. If you're watching the replay, I hope that you are ready for 2021 because if November is or December is anything like November, it's just going to be here before we know it. And today I wanted to share with you 3 things that any entrepreneur needs to do for their business before the new year rolls around. So, I hope you're ready. 3 things you must do for your business before 2021. All right. The first thing that any good CEO needs to do before the beginning of the year is to look at your data, right? You want to look at all of the metrics that you have on your business. You want to go and evaluate all of the numbers, all of the information, all of the data, and say, what is it telling me now? Right? What is it telling me now that I need to incorporate into my plan for 2021? And so, as you're looking at your business metrics, you want to think about things like your income, right? Your expenses. What do you know, right? What's your difference between your gross and your net? Where are you spending most of your money, right? Where are you not spending any money that maybe you should? Right? So, really looking at that financial piece is huge. That's an important metric bucket. Another metric bucket that you might want to look at is the overall, like, where does my sales revenue come from? Right? Is there a particular product or service that you know sells better than others? Right? The other day I was looking at my merch, right? This is the first year I've ever sold t-shirts, stickers, face masks, hoodies, that kind of stuff. And I was looking at the metrics to say, okay, what is actually selling? Right? If I could only have a couple of core products, what would they be based on my data? Right? And I went there and I saw that I'm selling a lot of stickers, I'm selling some face masks, I'm selling some leggings, and there's one particular style of t-shirt that trumps all the others. And so that's really good information. Hey, a salty girl, good to see you. We're talking about 3 things that you have to do for your business if you're an entrepreneur before the beginning of the year. And metrics is the first thing, really knowing, right? The financial, knowing the sales, knowing where are you seeing people drop out of your sales platforms or your pipelines, right? What's leading them in, but if there's something that they're falling out, why? Right? We got to have all that information because information is power, right? Information helps us to make better decisions in the coming year, right? So what is your data telling you about your clients? What do they really love the most, right? What kind of metrics do you have about where you're spending your time, right? That's a beautiful place for an entrepreneur to put some intentional hours of focus around, right? To say, okay, how many of my hours each week are spent servicing clients versus strategy? Right? How many hours of my month are spent on sales versus I'm putting out fires, right? What could you know about how you are showing up in your business by just looking at your schedule and saying, man, I spend a lot of time doing X. Or, I'm not seeing any time doing this, right? Did you have any learning time in 2020? Yay. Do you want to have more in the coming year or less, right? Well, you need to know where you are if you're going to make that decision, right? So go in and look at those productivity, the ROI, all of those business metrics are important. And it gives you the opportunity to say, so what? Now what? I've looked at this information, so what do I need to do with it now? Right? A couple of key thoughts before I go on to the second thing that I think that CEOs should do. And I want you to look about how many CEO days you're going to schedule in 2021, right? Will it be more or less than you did this year? Right? I have a really good friend that has a goal of every month. She's got a specific Friday that she sets aside for her CEO planning days. And she guards that time with ferocity, right? Ferociousness. You're not going to get on her schedule on that particular Friday because she knows that if she doesn't block that time out, it's going to be more likely that she's going to be working in the business versus on the business. And so how many CEO days did you have this year? What's going to be different in 2021? You got to start thinking about that, right? That's some of that metric, that CEO metric that you could look at. And then consider, how are you going to protect your time so that you can actually have those days in 2021? So there you go. There is a CEO metric. Your learning metric is the next place that I want you to consider, right? What did you learn this year the easy way, right? Because you decided you wanted to take a course. Right? You signed up, you paid the money, you took the time, right? And then what were some of the learning metrics that you can ascertain from the stuff that you learned the hard way, right? Because I know if you're anything like me, the things that you learn the hard way are the better teachers, right? So what did you learn this year? How can you take in that data and say, so what, now what? How is it going to influence my coming year, right? So what was it that you learned the hard way this year? The next piece of metric is your visibility metric. I want you to really think of something that's really critical if you're a small business owner. And it's this: if they don't know you, they can't flow you. And visibility is your number one job, right? First, they need to know you, then they need to continue to see you, right? So you get visible, you stay visible, and then you grow your visibility, right? So what are your visibility metrics telling you right now? What tools did you use so that people could see you in 2020, right? Did you go live? My son's right here. What's up, dude? It's supposed to be on some kind of PE. Oh, you're getting a tool? Getting a baggie. So the metrics around how people see you and know you. Did you use your email list? Did you show up at live events? Did you reach out and send them a postcard, a handwritten letter? Use this metric, right? What are those pieces of data that you can look at for visibility? Really, really important. And what did you learn about the results? What worked best for you when you look at all of those ways that you were being visible, right? I know that what works for me to be visible is to show up and do things like I'm doing right now on Instagram. Instagram is one of my number one referrers of business, right? So I got to know that as I move into 2021, because you want to keep doing what's working, right? So that's a key metric. So look at your reach versus engagement. Look at how many times you're showing up in real life versus online. Look at your sales activity metrics. Look at your money metrics. Look at your other business metrics and reports and scorecards that you know you track because it's you. Right? I just got off of a phone call with one of my private coaching clients, and she works in a service-driven arena where she's coaching salespeople who work on the phone. And one of their biggest metrics is really around talk time and the quality of the conversation and the types of questions that were being asked. And so those types of business metrics might need to be where you're putting some attention, right? So what kind of data are you looking at? Who you serving? What do they want? Right? So that's the first thing. The first thing an entrepreneur needs to do before the beginning of the year is look at all your data. All right. Now, the second thing that you're going to do as an entrepreneur between now and January 1st is to get really clear about what your clients want right now. Because I'll tell you, what they wanted at the beginning of 2020 and what they want now is different. And you know this just because our world is so much different, right? And so how have you adjusted to meet those current needs? When is the last time that as a CEO, you have clearly articulated the kinds of problems that you're solving? Right? Do you have language that talks about those problems that you solve? Do you have a way that you are tracking the things that your clients want to have right now, the things they want to be right now, the things they want to do right now? Right? I've got to have that written. I've got to have it in their words, because then that's going to flow into my sales copy. That's going to flow into my product development. That's going to just flow into me understanding who it is that I want to attract to me. right? And so who is your ideal client, and how can you be more interested in what it is that they're looking for right now? How can you really be curious, right, in a new way with new energy? How can you go and listen? Where is it that you can go in and listen to what it is that they want, right? One of my favorite places to go and listen is Twitter. Right? I know what my ideal clients look like, and I go and I just see what are they tweeting about. What's the kind of conversation they're having? What are the kind of issues that are keeping them up at night? Right now, I know my people are having FOMO because they're not going to the NFR. Or those that are going to the NFR are like, whoa, I'm excited. And I just need to be able to share my excitement. And so I know that that is important. How do I know? Well, because I've been spending intentional time listening. Right? And so I want you to consider, how do you know what they want so that then you can create those wow experiences that make them go, oh yeah, dude, I would not want to do business with anybody other than Sarah, right? I wouldn't want to do business with anybody other than Steph, right? Those kinds of opportunities that we take to get closer to what it is that our people want will give us those ideas on how I can act to serve. Right? And as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, I need to know what my people want so that then I can act. Right? I get an idea and I act. Those that get ideas and act faster than anybody else will win. Right? What product do you need to sell? Go listen to your freaking people. They will tell you. Right? But you gotta be listening. So the number 2 thing that you need to do before the end of the year is get really clear on what people want from you. What are the issues that you can help solve for them? What's the biggest problem that they have? Go there, right? And then the final thing, number 3 that you got to do before the end of the year is to surround yourself with your tools, right? I want you to assess. If I had a list of all of the tools that help me rock, what is in my toolkit? Right? And you got to know that if you're going to rock 2021, you're not going to just be using one tool. There is no silver bullet tool that's going to do all of the things for you. Right? You're going to need a plethora. I love that word. Lots of different things. And last night I taught a class about anti-average planning for 2021, and hopefully y'all can see this. I said step number 2 is to plan to use more than 1 or 2 tools. And I'm just going to read to you some of the tools that you might want to consider as a CEO. So this first one, and if you like one of these, just in the comment, tell me which one resonates with you. And so one of the tools that you might need is an accountability partner. And I'll tell you what, for me as a CEO, this is one of the most powerful things, because I know if I have to talk to you and I've told you that I'm going to do something and I have to tell you that I didn't do it, it hurts my poor little heart. Right? And so accountability partners work really well for me, more so than anything else. And so maybe that needs to be a part of your toolkit for 2021. Somebody that I can call every other Friday and make a report, and then I can also hold them accountable. Right? Maybe you need a particular checklist. I realized this year that I didn't have a new private coaching client onboarding system. I had it in my head and I had all of these pieces and parts, but I didn't have a holistic system or a checklist that I could actually pull up and check and make sure that I followed all of the right steps in the process. And so I need some checklists for those things that really are repeatable in my business, right? The end of month checklist, the beginning of month checklist, right? People remember how things begin and how they end. So how can you create those systems of support around those? Right? So maybe you need a checklist. Maybe you need a customer relationship management system, or you need to actually start using it. Right? I've had a CRM for a long time, and this year I finally actually started to leverage some of the sales tracking components that it had. I was just, again, keeping it all in my head, but when I started to use the functionality to tell me what was in my pipeline and how hot that lead was, it gave me so much more information, and I could, again, make better choices. So maybe you need a CRM. Maybe you need a paper planner. I'm a big fan of paper planners. This is my new one for 2021. I love the Danielle Laporte short, but I love this because my computer is amazing, but I honestly love to write things. I love to create to-do lists that I can cross out, and I can track my time and the things that mattered most. I use it for journaling a lot, and so I love having a paper planner. Maybe you need to actually use yours, right? Maybe you need to use Trello. That's something that has revolutionized my business this year because I, again, have actually started to use all of the things, and it's helping me to have a visual pulse on all of the stuff that I do in my business. Maybe you need a vision board. Maybe you need some apps, time tracking, financial. In my webinar last night, so many people were singing the praises of the financial app called The Mint. And so now I'm really curious about what that might be able to do for me as a CEO, right? Maybe you need a coach. Maybe you need a marketing coach. Maybe you need an accountability coach. Maybe you need I don't know what kind of coach, right? Maybe you need an online scheduler. Maybe you need to use your calendar, your Mac calendar, your Google calendar, your Outlook calendar. I don't care which brand it is, but do you time block, right? So that you can say, all right, I know I've got 40 hours I want to work this week, right? Because you shouldn't need to work more than that. Right? That's my philosophy, but maybe you want to work more. But so you want to be able to time block though and say, all right, Monday at 1, I'm doing this. Wednesday at 5, I know I'm off the clock. Friday at 2, I know this is when I'm having my big meeting, right? Your online schedules are cool because they yell at you. They remind you, they're like, hey, did you know that you need to be here at this particular time, right? So I love them because they help keep me focused and also not overcommitting. Right, because if I've time blocked my stuff and then I come to add a new task, if I don't have any more time, then I can't do that task, right? But if it's just like, oh, it'll fit in there somewhere, then I probably am going to be over-committing and under-delivering, and everybody hates that, right? So maybe you need to use your calendar, your color coding system with your time blocks. Maybe you need Pinterest. I think that Pinterest is one of the most underrated tools for entrepreneurs. I love Pinterest because I can put ideas for merch on a private board, right? And so then when I'm ready, I can go get it. I love it because it's like a virtual vision board in a lot of sense, right? I've got my quotes, I've got my Trello tips, I've got my style, because as a CEO, do I want to have a style? You bet your ass I do, right? I want to have some red pants this year. So I'm pinning some red pants, some power pants, right? I want to have some really classic, crisp white shirts, because we all know, as cliche as it is, when we look good, we freaking feel good. So where are those places that you're going to go and say, these are the goals that I have put out there for myself? Because if I can see it, right? Not just keep it in my mind, but if I can see it externally, then I'm more likely to do it, right? Because what we see influences what we do, and what we do influences the results that we get. You've heard me say it once probably, and you're not going to hear me stop saying it because it's so foundational to how we show up. Right? So I need to visually see things. I need to see things in my own handwriting because my brain really loves that. And when I say things, it gets better, right? So I need to articulate what my vision is. Pinterest can help us do that. Mind mapping visually is another great tool. So that final step is to really consider, what tools do you need? Do you need me, boy? Yeah. Okay, I'm wrapping up. Okay, I'll be right there. Well, that's my cue. My son is done with his virtual lesson, and so it's mama time to go and get him lined out for the next step. But remember, 3 things you gotta do before the end of the year. You first have to understand your metrics, right? Evaluate your data, and then consider, so what, now what, right? Number 2, get super clear on what your clients need urgently. What's keeping them up at night? What are those strongest desires? What does wild success look like for them? Know it, articulate it, get close, use their words, right? And then the final thing, the third thing, is to gather your tools, assess that toolkit, and decide that you are not going to just have a one-size-fits-all approach, no silver bullets. You're going to have a tool here and a tool there and a tool there, and you're going to surround yourself with all the support that you need so that you can rock and roll. So, love you guys. Thank you for the sweet comments. And if you need help setting up any of your systems for 2021, reach out to me because I geek out about systems. I love looking at that holistic view and then getting really gritty into the local pieces. So I can schedule a private coaching call with you. Or I've got a new business mastermind starting in Q1. It's going to run January, February, and March, 3 months. You get private coaching, you get masterminds where we're going to do training and coaching as a group and all sorts of stuff. So if that sounds interesting, you should reach out today. So with that, go be epic.